Hello, everyone. Sorry for issues with, but now we're finally live in this exciting webinar. This is the first webinar that we are going to enter and talk about AI integration into VIROO Studio. But the best thing about this webinar is the one thing I like the most is when I'm not alone, and I'm going to welcome here Sergio Barrera and
Hi
Ed
there.
Martin. Glad to have you both here. Pretty exciting webinar, right, guys? Because as you know, everyone is talking about AI nowadays. I'm using it every day. But the thing is, as we like always in virtual world, we tend to use technology when we think it really brings value to the client. Remember Sergio back into 2016 when we have the next wave of this new wave of VR headsets that every client wanted to use VR, but not always was the best case to use it. Sometimes they asked for a solution that was better solved with a tablet and a touchscreen. So that's exactly what we want to do with AI, right? We wanted to use inside VIROO, inside the platform, and specifically inside VIROO Studio, which is what we are going to talk about today. And we are going to show a sneak peek of the AI template that we are preparing, all the things that it can do. And I wanted to start with a brief presentation. If you can skip to the next slide, Sergio. One thing that we all have to take in common is that AI is not a new system. Okay, it's the next utility. Everyone thinks it's a brand new technology that it's meant to do some specific advanced things, but in reality, in the following years, every company and every person in their homes are going to use AI as the next utility. We have water, we have electricity. Now AI is becoming the next big thing that we are going to use. And if you spot the difference or try to spot the difference in this slide, we've seen in the evolving years that we have previously the telecommunications enterprises because we wanted to connect with others around the globe. Then that trend followed to the cloud providers. We in VIROO know exactly how we need to use cloud providers to offer platforms as VIROO to share content and connect multiple people around the globe using a multi-user XR platform. Now we are seeing how enterprises are going to need to start using AI as AI company providers, okay, such as Google, such as Anthropic, OpenAI. We need to use these services in order to go the next step, and that's exactly what we want to do inside VIROO. So in the next slide, we're going to see that many important clients right now are using AI. Some of them are even clients of VIROO platforms, such as GE Vernova. They are using AI for almost everything, for reducing costs, reducing risk, the same way XR can provide that. And I don't know if Ed and Sergio, if you think the same, but one of the things that excites me the most about AI is exactly the combination with XR. I think XR is going to be the best way to consume AI because it allows us to create some things that are not available with any other technology. And going forward in the presentation, we are seeing that this is the moment where we are showcasing what we have been working in the past month regarding AI inside VIROO Studio. We are going to offer these tools in order for our clients to make smarter context-aware apps. So for now, we offer the possibility to create XR applications really easily that are multi-location, multi-user, and multi-device. But now we are going to provide the tools in order to include AI. So you are going to be able to create simulations or training pills where users are going to be able to make some exciting actions regarding AI. For example, you are going to have like an AI agent that you can ask questions. You can ask about what's the next step inside your process. So even people are going to be able to train themselves using AI and asking questions and never feeling lost in the XR environment. So this is why we are creating this AI template. Again, this is not yet ready to be launched. We are going to share that in the near future, but Sergio today is going to talk about it, what we are doing with it, and what's the first version of the AI template is going to look like. And Sergio, if you want, you can take care of the presentation. I'll be answering questions in the chat if you have any. So I'll be controlling that, and Sergio is going to take the presentation from now on.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alberto. It's a pleasure to be here with you sharing this space. So, yeah, the idea here is to showcase first what we have achieved, making some integrations using large language models and some specific let's say layers over those large language models to construct your own prompts, to construct your own logics based on your own context and your own documentation. And I think that the best way to know how we have done this is first to showcase an example, then we can go further and explain in detail those building blocks. And later on, we can even, if we have time, uh, enter in the Unity and show how it is done inside Unity. So let's do that. Uh, First, we're going to showcase you the preview. So here you can see my Unity scene, and I'm going to launch it directly, and I'm going to interact with this agent here using my voice. I'm going to ask the agent to explain me things in the scene, and these things in the scene are being gathered from for the AI from the scene using some components we have already included in this template. So let's hit play, and I'm going to talk directly to the character. Here we can select the language. The idea is that in AI you can use any language which is supported by the large language model, which is a large data set, database of languages. Um, and you can talk in your language, in your mother language, and then the AI can work and can think in English, for instance, which is the most documented one for some cases, but then can answer in your own language. So I'm going to select English. It's not mine, but it's the one we are now working with. So I'm going to go here and tell the agent something, for instance, like this. Please, can you take me to a move action example in the scene? Then
Follow
the
me to the move action example. It's about 4.37 meters in front of you.
Okay, so what we are doing here is gathering information from the scene. We are gathering the context on where the example is. We are getting information from a documentation we have in another place. And we are bringing everything together, and we are giving it to the AI for it to reason about which the answer should be, and then act in our scene, calling some tools using an MCP paradigm. So we are using that model context provider paradigm, in which you can provide the tools to the AI and tell the AI, you have these tools available, do whatever you need to explain the user what he is asking for. So that's the idea. I have things like, please take me to the robot, because I have a robot over there. So it's walking there, and in some cases it decides to give me feedback. For instance, if I um, answer here, but where is the robot? Because imagine that I don't know where is it. You
The
can create.
robot is directly in front of you, about 2.75 meters away.
Okay, so that's more or less the 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 things that we can do. You can do, for instance, things like, please show me an example of socket example, VR socket example.
Look straight ahead. The example of how to interact with an XR socket is 4.5 meters in front of you.
The important thing about this is that to construct this, the content creator has only to define in natural language the things he wants to inform the user to. So you don't have to think about code, about complex things, and so on. You only need to specify your semantics. You only need to specify where the objects are located, which messages do you want to give the user when you refer, or when the AI refers to those, and you can as well provide some documentation like this one, which is being consumed by the AI in real time. And this is in real time. So you can even modify that documentation and see how the character behaves on those changes. So this is more or less the things that you can do with it. Later on, we are going to see how it is being done in Unity, how you add those components, how do you characterize them or tweak them to act this way. But for now, I'm going to jump again to the presentation to talk about those building blocks. So I'm going to stop and continue over here. So to understand better what we solved, what we have achieved is to create a very, very easy workflow to allow content creators to use large language models using a voice, which can be sometimes difficult in Unity because you have a way to grab the audio to convert it into something you could stream into the endpoint of the LLM and so on. You can also use your private on documentation, so you can constrain the context to your documents. You can um, make transparent updates on the documentation, and the system in charge of digesting that documentation is going to create a cache of them, is going to automate the similarity checks on those. Is what we call the RAG manager or the RAG manager. Okay, so it's the that component. We also have some ways to provide those dynamic context that depends on user locations or on what is the state of the game state, the current game state that we want the AI to know about and stuff like that. So with these um, components in charge of providing the dynamic context, what you can do is to inject those knowledge in real time. We also have an MCP tool server which allows the artificial intelligence to interact with the scene, and basically is a set of tools that can be extended uh, if you have some programming basic programming language. You can define your own tools to for the LLM to be capable of using them. And another thing which is important uh, is that you can work seamlessly in any language. So I could, for instance, be talking in my language and the AI reasoning in English and then giving me the answer again in my own language or whatever. So that's the idea. Regarding the user flow, the user interaction, this is what is really happening behind the scenes. When the user press a button controller, or press a key in the keyboard to start recording, we get the audio clip or the audio data from the voice of the user. Then we use a transcription system in the AI service. It's a transcript service. With what it does is to convert it into a string or into a text with a question. Okay, so because the large language model only knows about processing tokens, processing strings or text, or so the idea is to transcript everything to a text, and then the same with the documentation. We gather relevant documents which has something to be or some meaning in the context of the question, and then we get those documents to provide them to the AI as well. In parallel, we gather information from the context providers in Unity. Later on, we are going to see what are those context providers. Uh, we generate a list of the available tool definitions, which can be, uh, by now, we only have like 4 tool definitions, basically. But you can extend them to gather information from other components in Unity or whatever. Then we put everything together into the AI. When we perform the question, we get a system prompt, which basically defines how the agent is going to behave. If he's going to be, I don't know, more serious, or is going to be more direct or whatever. So you can specify the behavior of that. the question, the documents, the context, and the tools. And with everything together, the AI makes its reasoning and decides which actions must generate in the response for the Unity server, MCP server, to run those actions. So when uh, I'm grabbing that information from the microphone and sending to the AI, this is happening, and then the AI is deciding which functions to call in my site. And when it calls the functions, for instance, one is the text to speech, so a message appears in the earphones. Another is to create that clues for the user, and so on.
So,
This is,
Sergio, I have
before
a
you go,
quick question for you on that.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So,
Go ahead.
given that obviously, if people are using voice prompts to prompt the AI, if they're uploading documents, what kind of privacy protections are there, or will there be for those types of interactions?
Okay, yes. By now, as we are using public service, in this case, we are using the OpenAI, the ChatGPT endpoint, which is as a public API. So we do not have the full control of what is going through the network and how they are processing that documentation. So we do not have we are not absolutely sure of what is happening with that. But to
Okay.
solve that, we are already working on creating our own private servers that you're going to be able to run in your own GPU, in a high, quite performant GPU. You're going to be able to run the large language model and have the full control of the documentation, because it's going to be in your perimeter. It's not going to go uh, outside your perimeter. So it's going to be absolutely controlled. But the good thing is that as we are using the, let's say, OpenAI standard, uh, that works directly without any change. So we only need to change the model. We have already tried other models. Later on, I think that I have something in some slide. We are already tried some models, and it works seamlessly with private LLMs as well. So that's the
Yep.
idea.
Before
Great.
you go on, Sergio, we also
Yeah.
have two questions by Tyler Heaton in the chat. One of them is, I think, is a little bit related. He's asking, how is this data loaded? All these documentation that you showed. I think you've covered up, but if you want to address that question
Yeah,
again.
I can go directly to that, or I have it explained
Okay,
in a slide
we're going
later
to
on.
see it later.
So yeah,
Another
so I think we're going to see it later.
Okay,
Yeah.
the last question is from the animation side. He's asking, will the animation system for characters be available as components in the SDK? Will it use mechanism with imported character models?
Yeah, here we are using mechanism. We are using a blend tree, which allows you to make the character walk and make the character run, and the typical blend tree that you use in mechanism. But we are also planning on having some kind of annotations in the responses of the LLM, to allow to make procedural animation directly. For example, to create emotions, to create something like when you are asking the system to tell you a joke, you are going to be able to move I don't know, arms, or to do whatever we want, uh, because we can have like a set of already created poses, which are going to be guided by those annotations the AI decides to send to us. Okay, so we can do that as well. It's not already done, because this is just a work in progress system. But yes, we are planning to do so. Yeah, it's a good question.
Nice, good to know.
Okay, so here we are watching a diagram, in basically the same that I have explained before, but in this case we show those orange arrows to showcase how the data flows from the user, how it's processed, and how it comes back to the Unity side. Okay, the left side, the left green box is the Unity side, and the right, sorry, I don't know if I said green, I think so, and the blue one in the right is the one on the LLM side. Okay, so this information flows from one to the other. and is transformed in those paths, and then returns to Unity in this way, in like a set of tools to be called. Okay, so that's is the same as before, but in a more structured way to explain it. So regarding documentation, I think it's related to one of the questions. We have a way to define documents. Those documents, in this case, are stored in the streaming assets path of the Unity, but could be taken from a web scraping in an online web scraping or whatever. So the idea is to grab those paragraphs or those strings from any location, and then we have a rack manager, which is a system which allows us to make the segmentation of that documentation, uh, to be able to later on, when the users makes a question, compare the question topics with the ones stored in the embedded cache. Okay, so we have like embeddings cache, which a lot of float values representing the concepts that could be present in that sentence, in that paragraph, and we do the same with the questions. Then, when in real time we compare them, and we decide which paragraphs are going to be interesting in the for the AI system to know to answer our question. This is a very standard way to do that, and it's very interesting because you minimize, or it's possible to minimize, the number of tokens needed, which is the unit you are going to pay for the numbers of, or tokens the LLM is capable of generating. Okay, so it's a way to optimize that, and it's a way to tell the AI specific information about the current process, not to put everything together. Imagine that you could have, in this case, I only have like a 2-page document, but you could have documents with hundreds of pages and hundreds of paragraphs, and you have to select which ones are interesting in any case. Okay, so that's the idea. So you put that information in the streaming assets folder. Uh, Using the components we are going to see later on, you are able to create dynamic contexts which are going to be um, flowing to the question when you do it, when you do that, and with that documentation, the system prompt, which can be something like this, where you explain in natural language how do you want the agent to behave, which rules you want it to have, how do you want to treat the languages, how do you want it to spatial reasoning. So, for instance, I'm telling here that in the case of Unity, I'm using a y-up axis for the system coordinates, or the coordinate system. So the AI, when I feed it with some 3D vector, knows how to make the interpretation of that information I'm sending. Okay, so that's the idea. You can tweak this, but this is not let's say this is not strict. You can modify this to fulfill your needs. So the idea is we can create a system prompt which is going to work more or less in the 90% of the cases. But if you have a specific use cases, or even you want to change this dynamically because depending on the place of the scene, you want it to behave in a different way, you can do that. You can have several system prompts and feed them in real time. That's one use case that we have already tried. Okay, so how we can extend this? To extend it is there are several ways. The most simple one is giving natural language instructions to the prompt, which is just modifying this one here. Okay, just giving some natural language instructions. Another way is to create new content providers. We already provide some, like this additional AI content provider, or position AI content, or camera AI context, or whatever. But you can create your own. Imagine that you need to know which color is any of the materials appearing in your Unity scene. You could create your own material context provider, and then convert, serialize the information coming from the renderer, from the material, whatever, to a string that the AI can use for something. That's the idea. As simple as that. Okay, so extend an abstraction we have created to provide your own strings and to feed the AI with your own strings. So this one here, the AI context provider based component can be extended.
So,
Yeah.
Sergio, what kinds of skills does someone need to be able to take advantage of this extensibility?
Okay. Now, as we haven't implemented yet the visual scripting system, uh, a user at least has to have some knowledge in C sharp
Hmm.
and needs to be a Unity, let's say, junior programmer. Okay, so needs to have
Okay.
some knowledge. But in the future, we are thinking about ways to provide that those functionalities using visual scripting as well. And this is covered in this extensibility second section, the MCP actions.
Hmm.
By now, we only have like four actions, which are give TTS instructions, create visual feedbacks, move the NPC agent through the scene, spawn objects when I haven't shown it, but you can also create a spawn
Hmm.
and spawn objects directly. Later on, we can see it. Uh, but it's extensible. So if you implement this interface, this ICMP tool interface, which basically has two methods, one to create the contract with the AI for the AI to fill in back you when it calls you, and the run method that you want to perform when the AI calls you. If you implement those methods, you can create your own agents. Okay, so the same as before, you have these ones, but imagine that you could have an example in which you want the AI to create a rise of things or to do whatever you want. You can
Hmm.
create your own MCP action, and then the AI is going to take it from the register list of MCP actions and is going to try to use it when it makes sense. The
Okay.
the
Thank you.
the important thing is that is the couples. The AI can decide if to use a tool or not by its semantic reasoning, not by strict things. I'm not telling when the user asks you something, use the TTS. No, I'm telling try to inform the user as many with as many medium as you can. Okay, so that's
Hmm.
the
Well, we
uh,
have two new more questions.
mhm.
One again from Taylor. Thanks for being so active in the chat. This is a question. Will the cache file feature across multiple sessions of a module? If different users access the same module, will the system be able to share information to make responses faster and more accurate? That's the question.
Yes. That's it's not covered. Yeah, it's not covered. I have to honestly saying it's not covered, but it's in our plans. So yes, the idea is, uh, especially for those use cases in which you use public services and you pay for the service, it's interesting to have those uh, accelerators or those cache systems to allow you not to solve the same problems a lot of times, because probably a lot of users are going to ask for the same things and so on. So you can create like a set of already solved topics and then try to use those caches as well. And another thing, this is interesting and very useful too, is because imagine that in a VIROO networking session where you're collaborating, imagine that you're a user which is connecting from Poland and another one is connecting from the States. And one of them makes the question in English, but the Polish guy could have the language set to his mother language in Polish,
Hmm.
and then the AI is going to answer a different way for any of them. So you could even use it to localize contents, because for the AI is the same to use a language or another. So you could even
Mhm.
use this to translate dynamically the content to other languages and so on. So that's
Nice.
a
And
very interesting use case as well.
yeah. Before we move on, we have the first question from Nicholas. He is
Mhm.
asking, are you able to pass data between NPCs in different scenes using the dynamic context?
I don't understand. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
he wants
guessing.
to pass data between NPCs in different scenes using the dynamic context. I'm not
Okay.
an expert as well, so I
Okay.
don't
Okay. No,
get the question.
yeah, okay. I guess he means if you have additively loaded scenes, if
Mhm.
it's possible to make them to interact between them. Is not covered in the examples, but I think it's possible because Unity allows you to create as many managers as you need. So in this case, the the manager is once. In fact, I have a very, very tricky idea about using this to make different AI systems to talk to each other.
Mhm.
So it's more or less the thing that I think is related to the thing he's asking for, which is to have several MCPs uh, specialized in different stuff and then make them collaborate to solve things.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that the key thing you've said, as we always want to highlight, is that since we are Unity based, almost
mhm,
everything that can be done in Unity can be moved to VIROO, and that's why we like to use Unity for the creation content part, because every new integration or new feature that Unity includes, it's also a benefit for VIROO. So I think that's
mhm.
great for developers.
Okay, so as I'm going to continue because I would
Yep.
like to show some modules on how this is done, just to showcase how easy is to make this, not to implement it because it has a lot of abstractions and a lot of, but once the system is ready with the template we already have provide, uh, to create a new example or to modify documentation or whatever is very, very simple. We are going to focus, for example, in this one here, the one we have seen before. Uh, in this case, we have, let me check. We have this AI manager. This is what we have done in this scene is grabbing our Bureau Lab scene, which was already done, and we have created just this AI manager, which is the one in charge of managing everything related with AI. So everything is here down. Okay, so uh, the else components were already present in the scene, and here we have this AI manager, which basically has a configuration here, which is a scriptable object. Let me check. Where is it? It's here, where we have this AP key from OpenAI. In this case, the chat model we're using, the temperature we want to use to be for it to be accurate, not creative. Uh, how many tokens we want to use as the maximum number of output tokens, which model are we using for embeddings, and a lot of things that is going to be able to change the text-to-speech voice we want to use, and so on. Okay, so here you specify uh, specifics about the configuration you want to use. Here we have the system prompt, which basically is a set of text instructions. We have the general ones, and then we have some rules, language related, spatial reason rules, and so on. And to add any one more is just pressing this plus button and writing your own natural language sentence. Okay, we have things like please respond exclusively in this language, in a language which is defined when you click in the button, in the menu button, which appears when you launch the scene. Please do not mix language. Translate documentation when considered strictly from the documentation language to language, and so on. So here you specify how do you want the AI agent to behave. Okay, so that's general. This is in every prompt we call. Uh, in other side here, okay, here we have this dynamic AI context and this fixed AI context. And this is where the context providers take action. Okay, so the idea is we have like several ways to provide context to the AI. One is the fixed one. So is everything in this category is going to be present in the whole execution of the training module in this case, or the pill or whatever. Okay, these dynamic ones are going to be fed when something happens. For instance, when the user enters this green area, this is filled with a specific documentation. We want the AI to know when you're here. Okay, and that is done as simple as we have a player detection zone, which is a visual component we already have in the scene, is present here as well. And we have an on-enter event and on-exit event. And in the on-enter one, what we are doing is calling AI manager add dynamic AI context. So we are giving a new context when you enter this object, and we are removing it when you are going outside. So if I play it, just for you to see how this works, I'm going to select here English again. If I go inside this one, you can see that this is empty, but when I go inside, I can fill with this specific context. So the AI is not going to behave the same if I'm inside this or not. And I can do this as many times I need in the scene. Okay, so that's a very important key point on how to feed dynamic context into the AI. Which kinds of context I have? I'm going to showcase you this one. Here, for instance, we have a positional context. Which is a positional context? It's just a basis of an array of transforms with some description in the name, which says what is this useful for. For instance, I have one for the robot, and I have here a transformation, which is, let me go here, which is directly this transform here. But when we translate this into text, we send the AI a lot of information like the position, the rotation, how is the forward vector, which is pointing to the user node, if it's close to the user or is far to the user, a lot of things. With those things, the AI is capable of make the reasoning and work properly when I say, please take me to the robot. Okay, so it's going there because we are feeding that transform, and the robot, the word robot appears. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to create a new example, which is not covered, for you to see how easy it is to do this. Imagine that we want, for instance, to, I don't know, this one here, to show a menu, to not to show a menu, to be able to ask the AI for something related to how to create menus in VIROO. And this section is explaining that, okay? So to do so, I go here to the positional AI context, add another one, and say, here there is a sample on how to create a VIROO contextual menu. And then I need to, I'm going to open this way, not to lose it. And then I look for the menu here from this station and drag and drop this menu, which is the transformation, because this one is the one which is going to provide the location. Okay. Now, if I hit play, I'm going to hit English. Is there an example on how to create a menu?
You can find the example on how to create a VIROO contextual menu directly in front of you, 10.46 meters away. Look slightly to your left.
Can you please take me to the menu sample? So now the AI knows this context, and now that can guide me to this one. Okay, so that's the idea. There it is, as simple as that. Another example, imagine that you want to you need to change the documentation. We are going to change the documentation. So I already have here the documentation opened, and I'm going to show you an example I already have prepared, like this one, to be this one here. I'm going to tell the documentation, I'm going to fill this, which says there is a specific robot example showcasing how to synchronize complex hierarchies in VIROO. Then I save this, and when I click play again, the system is going to detect that I have changed the documentation and is going to calculate again those embeddings to be able to make the cross reference later on when I ask a question. So that is done automatically. You do not need to do anything. Embeddings are calculated automatically. So if I now ask for where is the robot and where is that example so interesting for me?
The robot example demonstrates how to synchronize complex hierarchies in VIROO. It's interesting because it showcases advanced interaction capabilities, allowing you to understand how robots can be integrated and controlled within XR environments.
Okay,
This can
so
be particularly useful if you're interested in robotics or developing interactive applications.
here you can see as how just with one sentence, I'm feeding with a lot of information because it is taking this information, but probably is relating this with other things appearing in other paragraphs of the document. Okay, because when we uh, select which paragraphs to send, depending on the settings on this config here, we can say that it can use, in this case, it's using 4 paragraphs. So the four most relevant paragraphs are going to be fed into the AI, okay? But here you can select as many as you want, depending on how large is the documentation, how extends, and so on. So that's the idea. This is a very, very good example on how easy is to feed your context and to let the AI work with it without having to do anything but changing documents. So that's it. Uh, I think I have covered more or less everything. I don't know if you have any other questions or you are specifically interested in some other example or whatever.
Yeah, for my part, as you know, I love to create content with Visual Studio because I'm not a programmer, but I have so many ideas and I love to create XR experiences and being able to seeing it through the XR headset. And this is really useful because one of the main issues that we need to address when people start in XR is that they feel a little bit lost, right? Because everything's new, even the technology itself. They don't know how the buttons work. They don't know where the trigger is. And they feel like a little bit isolated at first before jumping into a session with others and being able to offer these kind of guides that will allow you to walk through the scenery to explain everything in detail. And from the creator part, this was like really difficult to do, or at least you need to invest a little huge amount of time, because if you needed to predefine every single interaction regarding every element in your scene, that would be crazy, right? Imagine to just generate the MP3 audio for every question that the user may or not may answer regarding if he asks for the rotate action, for the move action, for this specific module. So being able just to feed the documentation and ask whatever question the user wants, and being able also to determine how we want the agent to answer, I think it's great. I think it's a really powerful way to include AI into VIROO Studio in this case.
One thing that I haven't shown is that even if I talk in another language, the AI is going to understand me. So if I say something like I'm going to talk in Spanish, so I'm going to say, por favor, llévame a un ejemplo de rotate action. So I'm asking to bring me to a rotate action example, which I have here. Okay, so there it is. And I can say,
Follow me to the rotate action example, located to your front right, about 5.5 meters away.
Okay, it's answering me in English because I have restricted it to answer in
Mhm.
English. But if I do things like this, I can do the opposite. I can talk in English and ask him to, or her or whatever, to answer in Spanish. So I'm going to select the Spanish and say, uh, can you please take me to the rotate action example?
Te llevaré al ejemplo de la acción de rotación. Sígueme, por favor.
Okay, so now it's answering in Spanish, even though I'm talking in English. So this can be, as said before, used even to localized
Yeah.
contents and to make people collaborate in their mother language without
Yeah.
having to.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think
So that's
this is the same direction that Francesca Albrezzi is one of the first comments that we got in the chat. That she said that this is incredible for making VR more accessible, and I agree. AI, one of the greatest things is that the language barrier is going to slightly disappear, even inside and in real time in this kind of experiences. And correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe we can show one last thing because I don't remember you showing how to spawn new objects with voice. Did you?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
true.
this is one of
Yeah,
my favorite features because
yeah.
when I'm always in XR, I'm making training builds. One of the things I will be able to do is just to ask
Mhm.
for a new tool or a new object that is not inside or present in the scene. So this is one of my favorite features of this template.
So I'm going to tell, for instance, can you please create an sphere or 1 meter in front of me? I'm going to move. So
Yeah.
here we have a sphere.
And of course,
Can
this
you?
is any kind of preface. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to ask for something
Yeah.
more complicated. So I'm
Mhm.
going to say something like,
Parece que tu
because,
pregunta está incompleta. Por
okay,
favor,
Sorry, that was me.
proporciona más detalles para
yeah,
que
okay,
pueda ayudarte mejor.
sorry, it's telling that my question is incomplete because I have the interruption from Alberto. So, but now if I ask, for instance, to create two objects, one on top of the other, I can do things like that. Like, for instance, I'm going to talk in Spanish. Por favor, crea un cubo a 1 metro de mí y una esfera 2 metros por encima. So I am asking to create a cube and a sphere on top of it, okay?
He
Or two
creado un
meters
cubo
over.
a 1 metro de ti y una esfera 2 metros por encima.
So I was here and I have asked to create a cube in front of me and a sphere 2 meters above. And is doing both things. Which objects can create? In this case, the ones I have, I don't remember in resource folders, I guess. Yeah, here. Here, it's capable of creating these ones here, okay? Because are the ones uh, I have drag and drop here. But if you create a prefab with something and drag and drop here, you can ask for it in natural language because it's going to send this information as as a context provider. So, for instance, if I say, and as it already knows the locations of some objects, I can say, for instance, please create an engine on top of the move action example. So it's supposed to be created here. That's it. Okay.
For me, this is amazing. This is
He
because this
creado
could
un
be
motor
new
encima
3D models,
de move
tools that you may need in order to
frenético.
process the next step in your simulation. Because sometimes you want to have some things hide to the user. Whenever he asks for something, just show him or give them the correct tool. And again, this is so easy, not only for the user, but for the developer as well, that it really blows my mind. It's
And
really nice work, Sergio.
for those who are programmers, I hope there is someone. Uh, Here we have the two methods you need to implement. These ones here. You need to implement if you want to create a tool. You need to provide an schema on how the AI is going to understand your object. You say this is a spawn prefab from resources at the world position. You have to use the exact prefab name and so on. Here you specify the parameters that you need the AI to fill in for you, and then in the execute, you do the Unity side, which basically is instantiating an object grabbing the information from the message you receive from the AI. So it's as simple as that. So the architecture can be quite complex because we have to build a lot of things in the backends. But once it is done, to extend it is quite simple for almost everybody.
Mhm. Yep. And regarding spawning 3D objects, by the way, we have a comment that saying that this is amazing and will save time in model development. I agree with that. But remember, again, that since we are Unity based, we are only showcasing the AI tools that we are developing, but everything regarding AI that is coming to Unity, from example, I've been testing the 2D image to 3D model object generation inside the latest Unity beta. That can work natively with VIROO since we are Unity based. So everything that Unity is going to showcase and launch this year regarding AI, we are also going to benefit from that inside VIROO Studio. So we are combining the things that we are doing with the things that Unity is going to introduce in the engine as well.
Yeah, and I have to say yes to add something more that we're just scratching the surface. So we have a lot of ideas, a lot of things that are continuously evolving, and we are going to extend this a lot. These are some planned future work that we already have. The word feature is with this question marker because some of these things are already being tested, like the way to provide these secure enterprise services. So our idea in a near future is to provide these services and to allow our enterprise customers to have secure ways to run their own AI systems without having to get out the perimeter. This is related, Ed, with the question you asked
Mhm.
before. We have already made some compatibility tests with some local LLM models run on VLLM, which is a standard, or Llama, or whatever these ones. We have been trying Queen, Mistral, Llama, and we have to say that the performance is reasonably high with not very low, but low end GPUs or mid end GPUs like these ones here. Um, uh, we are already thinking about registering those tools through visual scripting. So the idea is to provide a way for visual scripting programmers to allow them creating ways to interoperate with the AI, but in visual script instead of code. And that's a future work we are thinking about. And another thing that we are thinking about is related to one of the questions before regarding the communications between MCPs, which is the automated way the AI is going to gather content from the scenes instead of um, have like a strict protocol with a very tiny or small set of tools to create general tools to allow the AI, for instance, to get information from the scene when it needs, but without the interaction of the user. Imagine that with that thing we could solve things like if you ask for something which is not in the context, the AI could try to look for it in the context, just traversing the hierarchy and looking for, I don't know, for text objects or for whatever, and trying to look for that information to complement the prompt that you have already done and try to answer with that. Once we have that, this can grow exponentially because the AI is going to ask things much quicker than you are able to create the context manually. So that's another approach we're thinking about, and it's very uh, its affinity is very close to the agentic AI paradigm, uh, which is nowadays very interesting and is what everybody is trying to use. So that's the idea.
Yeah, I would just add too, if anyone has any particular needs, things that you're interested in seeing as part of this future work, reach out to one of us. Yep, thank you, Alberto or Sergio. There's our contact information, and we're certainly interested in your ideas of things you would be interested in doing with this capability.
Yes, here just to say that if you want to get, if someone here wants to get involved in this, we are not going to release it yet because it's a work in progress, and and we are refinement in a refinement process. But you can contact us directly using the emails provided here, or if you prefer, you can also post a message in this specific event post channel, and then we will answer you, or we will try to create like a group of people interested in this to continue evolving the platform. So that's the idea.
Yep, I think that pretty much sums up what I think is one of our greatest webinars yet. It was pretty dense in information, but also we have like really cool demos inside VIROO Studio. So it really have a really good amount of both sides. So for my part, again, pretty exciting even for me as a creator, but it's not a programmer, to being able to include AI and combining those with the assembly sequence of bin review template that we already offer our clients. I don't know if any of you, Sergio or Ed, wanted to say something before we say goodbye. We don't have any more questions in the chat. Thank you everyone for commenting during the webinar. But any last thoughts that you want to share? Everything's correct?
For me, just to invite people to get in contact, and we will try to do our best to fulfill their needs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
the same. It's really this becomes powerful when people start using it, and so once this becomes available and we can start learning more about what people's needs are, that's where the magic happens. So
yeah,
thank you, everyone.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Sergio and Ed, for joining me in this webinar. Thank you, everyone, for being joining in the link in streaming and commenting. Again, if you are interested, you can contact us directly. You can follow VIROO for upcoming webinars. We are even probably launching new webinars about AI and the evolution of this AI template. It's really exciting. Many things that we are going to do in 2026 to improve the platform. So, as always, thank you for joining in, for following VIROO, and to try to make XR more accessible and available everyone in the world. So see you in the next webinar. That will be probably in a month. And thank you for sharing. Bye-bye.
Bye.